Well, we know someone that is always interesting, and that is one Sean Cunningham. And Sean Cunningham, I think we have him. Yes, we do. Sean Cunningham of Fox 40 joins us. Sean, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I've got a whole week off. Not a whole week, but it seems like I have a whole week with these 3 days surrounding the Thanksgiving holiday. I got to admit, man, I don't get a lot of days off. It feels weird. I feel like idle hands a little bit. So,
and then the football thing gets very confusing for me because you have multiple games on Thursday. Now all of a sudden there's at least one game on Friday, and then you think, oh wait, it's Saturday. There's nothing, I don't think, and then Sunday has the normal full slate. So I don't know what day. By the time Sunday comes around, I'm very confused as to what day it is.
Yeah, and let's mix in the the turkey hangover and all that.
Yep.
And for me locally, I mean, there's a ton of high school football section championships this Friday and Saturday out at Sac City. So it sets up for a beautiful weekend. Lots of football and got a lot of Kings mixed in as well.
Well, let's get right to it. As far as the Kings are concerned, Sean, you along with Shams and a bunch of other media reps broke the news on Jae Crowder and finalizing the deal with the Kings. What are your initial thoughts? Do you think this is more about, and I don't think anybody is out there thinking that Jae Crowder is going to completely flip this team around, but is this more about the injuries, or do you think even if Trey Lyles and DeMar DeRozan don't go down, they were still going to head in the direction of, all right, we're on a 4-game losing streak. This doesn't look great. We need to do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the curiosity there. I don't have full clarity on it yet either. I mean, I think everyone by now knows that, Jae Crowder was in a mix of players that came out to Sacramento in the summer and worked out with some guys, and they were able to kind of, poke and prod a little bit, at least get their eyes on him and see what he still has left in his, going through 13 years in the NBA. And obviously a guy who's known for, size and strength and toughness and just leadership, and obviously has a lot of veteran experience and has kind of had a rather different, it's not like the most blueprint normal path to the NBA. I mean, he's been through trials and tribulations, and he's all about, kind of finding his fit and really making the most of opportunity. And it certainly bared fruit for him. So he's been a bit of a journeyman, and coming over to Sacramento, I mean, I think they knew what bringing in Jae Crowder would look like. It's whether or not, I don't know if it came down to money. I don't know if it came down to Sacramento being the right fit for him. Clearly he wasn't really in training camp with any other team. And I think he wanted to see the way the landscape looked a little bit. But also I think the Kings were really interested in what they had. And so now I think, clearly looking at what the roster is, you're not even quite at 25 games. Here you are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak. And certainly you've got injuries that have plagued the early half of the season. So I could envision Jae Crowder being a fit with this team and being here for the entire season and playing certainly a type of role that they need. But I could also see it go the other way, where it's not a guaranteed deal and he's not around for the long term. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm very interested to see what he still has and the impact he can have, because let's face it, especially with perimeter defense, toughness, the ability to punch first, these are the types of players that they need. Maybe not at 34 and possibly 35, but certainly a little bit younger. But it harkens back memories a little bit, and I don't want to draw too much of a comparison, but when they brought in guys like Vince Carter and Zach Randolph to a very, very, very young team, I remember Vince Carter was getting minutes over guys like Justin Jackson, and it's like, that shouldn't happen. Like, you shouldn't have, even though with respect to that Hall of Famer that is Vince Carter, he should not be taking minutes from Justin Jackson, but Justin Jackson couldn't beat him out. So it is what Jae Crowder can bring to the Sacramento Kings, something that you can keep off the floor, and hopefully it brings out the best of others. And if it isn't, he's ready to kind of play that role. But can he do so just kind of rolling off the couch and stepping into uniform? I guess that remains to be seen.
Speaking of stepping into uniform, I saw the clip as far as Jae Crowder was around during shoot around. There have been some reports, and that was from Chris Biederman. There have been some reports of Jae Crowder wasn't necessarily ready for the season. That's why he didn't initially get signed, and questions about whether or not he's going to play tonight. Do you have any information on whether or not he will play tonight?
No, that was the expectation from what I've been kind of hearing around not only the team but around Jay as well. So I think they're in a position to where he's ready to do that. I don't know that they were expecting the signing to become official this late in the day. I think they were expecting it maybe a little earlier, but without him having an opportunity to go through shoot around, that kind of maybe changes things a little bit. We'll have to wait and see what Mike Brown says and whether or not that becomes official here in the next few minutes or even within the hour. But look, I think Jae Crowder is a professional. He's been in this circumstance the past couple of years where he's been a late addition to some teams. I mean, you look at last year with Milwaukee, I mean, 50 games, I believe it was, 25 as a starter. He knows that system very well. So I'm not worried about Jae Crowder fitting in. That's what he's made a career of doing, just being ready and fitting in. I think to me, it's more so the part I don't have clarity on is what held this up. What was the were they looking in other directions? Was the money not quite there? Was Jae Crowder expecting more money? And obviously the Kings at the time were right up against that apron. And you know, with respect, I don't want to put them and shape them into a team that looks like they're being cheap by any means. But once you go into those aprons, signing a guy has consequences and ramifications financially that can really disrupt your organization. So you have to be very wise. I don't think you should fear the apron, but you don't necessarily go into the luxury tax to sign someone like Jae Crowder, right? So that's why you have money that you look at these offseason moves, and I know people will still kind of turn their nose up at maybe the deal with Toronto by sending, Mitchell and Vezenkov to Toronto and bringing back a guy like McDaniels who you ultimately don't keep. But those are moves that basically precipitate what happens when bringing in DeMar DeRozan. So making some of those monies fit under that apron to where you don't get necessarily bashed over the head with the tax. But the flip side to that coin is, outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are certainly going to deal with it here in the future, every good team it deals with the apron. They're in those luxury tax brackets, so you can't fear it.
Talking to Sean Cunningham, Fox 40 sports reporter. Go check out all of his posts and what he writes and all the videos that he's posting, especially on Twitter. Great follow on Twitter. Sean, let's just go here. Outside of Jae Crowder, and obviously he's going to be a part of it, how can the Kings get back on track? What are you seeing that you think, and outside of just making their threes and making shots, what are and then I don't know if you have any reports on what went down. I know they had some type of team meeting yesterday, but how can these guys get back on track? Is it as simple? Somebody on the text line said they're not making threes. It's just that simple, right? Well, I got a 4-hour show, so I can't say that for 4 hours, but how do they get back on track?
Yeah, I mean, winning cures all. I think, to me, I think there's a lot of overreactions. There are certainly things I'm concerned about if I'm looking at this Kings team. I mean, I don't think anyone expected them to be looking the way they do. I felt, coming into this season, this is a team that's going to hang their hat on being a fast-paced, elite offense, one that is free-flowing and equal opportunity. I mean, that's kind of what their identity is, what they want, but that's not what their identity is. So I think my biggest concern right now, and this isn't an overreaction, I don't think, because I think there are other overreactions out there. I think the most, crucial concern with this team is their identity, because they just don't seem to have one. I mean, Allen, we go into I'm not even talking just this 4-game streak, because certainly the 3-point shooting has been a problem. I think that I have liked what I've seen defensively at times. The perimeter defense is just awful. I mean, that part is terrible. Yeah. And it seems like the Kings' kryptonite is a long team that plays hard. And they want to somehow coast to the fourth quarter and then let their star in De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, or DeMar DeRozan, when healthy, kind of take over the fourth quarter and put a team away. And that's just not a recipe for success in my mind. Certainly it's something that they have in their hat that they can, in their arsenal, to where that they can go to at any point, having an elite fourth quarter, but those fourth quarters haven't been there. You're looking at guys where offensively that flow is just janky. It's not as fluid as you'd like it to be. The ball handling, the ball movement is sticky, and that's to be expected a little bit when you have an ISO player like DeMar DeRozan, who's been, in my mind, sensational. I don't think it's as simple as saying this is a DeMar DeRozan fit with the Kings problem, because I think he does not take away the ability to shoot from the three. Right. So I think there are concerns for sure, but I think they have to find out truly who and what they want to be and what they are. Certainly these teams that have size on them, that's an advantage. And if you have to play small, play small. I thought there were some really interesting quotes that came out of the locker room the other night in the loss of the Thunder, which, by the way, it's a team that they just don't play for 48 minutes. And I think everyone can realize that, because I thought they played about as well as they have in stretches in that game, and then looked about as bad as they've been all season when the other team goes on a run. And that's been kind of a common theme as well. So get back to that identity, establish what that identity is. And the other thing I'll say about that too is, Domantas Sabonis, when asked about kind of the 3-point struggles, he says, well, maybe that's just not who we are and we have to figure it out. And I think part of the things he was talking about and getting back to what was working in that first half was certainly that pick and roll, that 2-man game that he had with DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, and look, that's who they have been. But at some point here, I was joking with Frankie Cardicelli about Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. You have a home run hitter that's not hitting home runs. At what point do you say, maybe he's not a home run hitter anymore, right? At what point do we say, maybe they can't shoot, or at least they can't shoot this season? Sean, 3 quick hitters for you. Speaking of home run hitters in baseball, how do you feel about Blake Snell? Do the Kings get a W tonight? And favorite Thanksgiving food?
Damn you, Allen Stiles. I think we are both Giants fans, and that hurt last night. I was very bothered by that. I didn't think Blake Snell was going to the Dodgers, but why not? Everyone else does. Defer that money. They print their own money. I mean, they just have a Federal Reserve in LA and Hollywood, and they can just pay whoever. And they don't. Those players are so rich, they don't even have to take all the money right up front. They can just defer it 30 years down the line. It's just an unfair system, and we just have to deal with it. So they could literally sign you and I as right-handed pitchers. Who cares about Walker Buehler? They're going to be just fine.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sick to death. I'm just sick to my stomach about that. I hope the Giants are able to do something, but I don't know what that is. As far as what you said, the favorite, what the Kings can do tonight. Yeah,
they're going to get the W.
They've played Minnesota really tough. I mean, you're talking about a differential of 6 points through 2 games. I know this. Julius Randle's going to go off. He always does. His top 3 games of the season are against the Kings. 2 of them, obviously, 2 of the 3 are against the Kings. Just as a King killer. And I actually thought they played Julius Randle, despite him scoring 26 points. I thought he played him pretty well in the last game. So take advantage of the fact that big team played last night, albeit on their home floor, and had a tough matchup. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good contest, and you need it in the worst way. And beyond that, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, did you just say what the favorite dish was?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I hate to be boring, but I really love turkey. I'm a turkey guy.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Turkey and mac and cheese. How can you go wrong?
There you go. Well, enjoy it. Sean, thank you for coming on the show as always. Go check out Sean on social media. Go check out his work on Fox 40. It's great stuff. We use it all the time. Sean Cunningham, Fox 40 sports reporter. Enjoy the holiday, Sean. And hopefully you will be on the show again soon, but hopefully I see you sometime next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Anytime.
That was Sean Cunningham. Great stuff. As always, thank you, Sean, for joining. When we return, we continue the conversation. We get into our Kings Timberwolves preview, and we do a little bit of NFL as well. What's going on during Turkey Day and beyond? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.